Hello, today we'll do a poem called Skimbleshanks, the Railway Cat by the poet T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot's full name was Thomas Stearns Eliot, and he was born in England, but he studied at Harvard College, Harvard University in the US. He studied at Oxford University in the UK, and he studied at the Sorbonne in France. And he had many great teachers like George Santayana, the philosopher. And so he became a Nobel Prize winner. He's a Nobel Prize winner in literature. So here he's written a poem for children. So it's a children's poem called Skimbleshanks, the Railway Cat. Skimbleshanks is a name which is made up. It's supposed to be humorous. So anyway, we'll read the poem. So it says, there's a whisper down the line at 11:39 when the night mail's ready to depart, saying, Skimble, where is Skimble? Has he gone to hunt the thimble? We must find him or the train can't start. So the night mail is ready to depart at 11:39 p.m. from the station, and people are whispering among themselves, where is Skimble? Skimble, where is Skimble? They say. Skimble is the cat, and he is the sort of supervisor of the whole train, and they wonder if he's gone to hunt the thimble. Thimble is something that tailors put on the tips of their fingers to stop the needles from pricking them when they sew clothes. So, anyway, it's has he gone to hunt the skimble? The people say, talk among themselves, because without Skimbleshanks, the train can't start. All the guards and all the porters and the station master's daughters, they're searching high and low, saying, Skimble, where is Skimble? For unless he's very nimble, then the night mail just can't go. So all the people of the station, working at the station, like the guards, railway guards, and the porters. Porters are people who carry the luggage for the passengers, and the station master's daughters. They're searching up and down, high and low across the station, because unless Kimball is very nimble, unless he's very quick, nimble means quick and agile, unless he's very quick, the night mail just can't go. So it's nearing time for the departure, but the night mail cannot leave without Skimbleshanks. At 11:42, then the signal's nearly due, and the passengers are frantic to a man. Then Skimble will appear and he'll saunter to the rear. He's been busy in the luggage van. So all the passengers are frantic. They're really pressurized to find Skimble. Every passenger, to a man, is frantic with worry about whether they'll start on time. And at this moment, Skimble will appear and he'll saunter to the rear. Saunter means walk in a relaxed manner. He'll saunter to the back of the train, and he's been busy in the luggage van. He gives one flash of his glass green eyes, and the signal goes all clear. So he looks at the people with his glass green eyes. That is, he has cat eyes, and finally the signal is given, and the all clear is blown. So the train can start, and we are off at last for the northern part of the northern hemisphere. So the train is going to start towards the northern city in the northern hemisphere. You may say that by and large it is Kimball who's in charge of the sleeping car express. So it's a night train, so people will sleep on the night train, and it is Skimbleshanks who is in charge of that night mail or the sleeping car express. From the driver and the guards to the bagman playing cards, he will supervise them all more or less. So he supervises all the employees on the train, from the engine driver to the guards to the bagmen. The bagmen are the people who carry the bags in the luggage van. Skimbleshanks will supervise them all, more or less. Down the corridor he paces and examines all the faces of the travelers in the first and third. So he goes up and down the corridor, examines the faces of all the passengers in the first class compartments as well as the third class compartments. He establishes control by a regular patrol, and he'd know at once if anything occurred. So, um, by patrolling up and down the train, he establishes control that every passenger has to behave himself or herself. And if anything occurs on the train, anything untoward, then he'll immediately know at once. He'll watch you without winking and he sees what you're thinking. And it's certain that he doesn't approve of hilarity and riot. So the folk are very quiet when Skimble is about and on the move. So he'll watch people without winking, without blinking his eyes, and he guesses what you're thinking. And for sure, it is certain that he doesn't approve of hilarity and riot. So he doesn't approve of people partying, doesn't approve of wild behavior. So all the folk, all the people are very quiet when Skimble is about and on the move, up and down the corridor of the train. You can play no pranks with Skimbleshanks, so you can't play any jokes with Skimbleshanks. He's a cat that cannot be ignored. So nothing goes wrong on the Northern Mail when Skimbleshanks is aboard. So nothing goes wrong on the Northern Mail when Skimbleshanks is on patrol, supervising everything that is going on. Oh, it's very pleasant when you have found your little den with your name written on the door, and the berth is very neat and with a newly folded sheet, and there's not a speck of dust on the floor. So, how does Kimball manage? He sees that all the compartments, all the berths, all the the compartments are very clean. Each passenger who has reserved a berth on the train has his name written on the door of the compartment, and in the berth there is a bed, and the bed has a newly folded sheet that it's been freshly washed or laundered, and the floor has been swept clean, so there's not a speck of dust on the floor. So when the passengers come in to the train, they find it very pleasant to start their journey. There is every sort of light. You can make it dark or bright. There is a handle that you turn to make a breeze. So every sort of light, whether it's a reading light or a night light or a fluorescent or a light for the full compartment, you can turn down the brightness of the light, and the compartments also have a fan, and you turn the handle to switch the fan on and make a breeze for yourself. There's a funny little basin you're supposed to wash your face in, and a crank to shut the window if you sneeze. And so there is a wash basin in each compartment, and you can wash your face in it. And there is a lever or a crank to shut the window if the wind blowing makes you too cold and you sneeze. Then the guard looks in politely and will ask you very brightly, "Do you like your morning tea weak or strong?" Then the guard looks in, he wants to take orders for the next morning from the passengers, and he asks each passenger whether they want their morning tea weak or strong, light or strong. But Skimble's just behind him and was ready to remind him. So Skimble knows the preference of each passenger, and Skimble reminds the guard not to disturb the passengers, and he reminds him of what each passenger wants. For Skimble won't let anything go wrong. And when you creep into your cozy berth and pull up the counterpane, you ought to reflect that it's very nice to know that you won't be bothered by mice. So when the passenger creeps into his berth, that is on his bed, to rest, to sleep, and the berth is very cozy or comfortable, and he pulls down the counterpane, that is the second window which won't let any light in. so that they won't be disturbed when the sun rises in the morning. Then the passengers ought to think, ought to reflect that it's very nice because they won't be bothered by mice. Because Skimbleshanks has seen to it that the railway compartments are totally hygienic and totally fit for human use. You can leave all that to the railway cat, the cat of the railway train. In the watches of the night, he is always fresh and bright. So, in the watches of the night, whether it's 11 p.m. or whether it's 1 a.m. or 2 p.m., 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., in all these parts of the night, he's always fresh and bright. He is always awake and alert. And every now and then, he has a cup of tea with perhaps a drop of scotch while he's keeping on the watch, only stooping here and there to catch a flea. So every now and then, occasionally he has a cup of tea, and sometimes he laces that cup of tea with some scotch whiskey. So that will make it even stronger, and it will give him some comfort. And he's keeping watch on the train, and he only stoops or bends now and then to catch a flea, which is moving through the compartment. You were fast asleep at Crewe, and so you never knew that he was walking up and down the station. So the night mail stops at a station called Crewe, Crewe, and when the night mail stopped at Crewe, it was deep night, like 1 a.m. So the passengers never knew that he was walking up and down the station. He was sleeping all the while he was busy at Carlisle, where he greets the station master with elation. So the passengers were also sleeping at the next station, which was Carlisle, and Skimbleshanks had greeted the station master with elation or joy. Elation means joy. But you saw him at Dumfries, where he speaks to the police if there's anything they ought to know about. So at Dumfries, that is the third station the night mail stops at, maybe the passengers saw Skimbleshanks, where he speaks to the police about anything that's gone on untoward on the train, and the police ought to know about that. When you get to Gallowgate, there you do not have to wait, for Skimbleshanks will help you to get out. So finally, when the destination of the passenger arrives at Gallowgate, you don't have to wait, for Skimbleshanks will escort you down the steps of the train. He'll help you to get out. He gives you a wave of his long brown tail, which says, "I'll see you again. You'll meet without fail on the midnight mail, the cat of the railway train." So, to bid goodbye to the passengers, Skimbleshanks gives a wave of his long brown tail, which says that they'll meet again. The passenger and Skimbleshanks will meet again, and uh, finally, without fail, the passengers will meet on the midnight mail, the cat of the railway train, that is Skimbleshanks. Thank you.